How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to ReWrite. So, we're here at Chihaya's house. Because, yeah, after the massive encounter in the forest, it was deemed we were in direct danger. And it looks like we've had a confirmation when we were ambushed in the streets by something that actually was attacking Chihaya, which is really interesting to me because so far, the summons we saw in the forest deferred to Chihaya and Akane. They didn't attack them. They seemed to be coordinating with them. And they haven't outright said that yet, but they've implied it when Kotarou has been asking. But now we've seen that there is some kind of group or function or something that's going on that is willing to attack him. So yeah, we gotta figure out what that is. And I think that Akane is also very interested. It seems like it might be some kind of power play or infighting amongst the summoners. So that'll be really interesting to get to know more of. But for the minute, we're just here. We're spending time at Chihaya for safety, and yeah, like, we're missing some of our friends, but they just all kind of faded off the face of the earth, and it doesn't look like there's much we can do about that now. But the most exciting thing for this episode is going to be, apparently, we're going to have an opportunity to go to Akane's house, and we're going to be able to see some kind of meeting there. So, probably going to be a good time to get some real answers about what's going on, although I'm sure it'll be very cryptic and very, like, obscure, but hopefully we'll get something tangible to work with. But anyway, sit back, relax, hope you enjoy yourself. Let's jump right into the story. Morning. I get up. Vitality has been restored. But of course, a good night's sleep does next to nothing because this isn't an RPG. All my muscles are sore. I collapse back into the bed. Oh, this feels so good. It's fluffy, yet it has just the right amount of resistance to support my body weight. Seems like a new mattress. I love the feeling, like a brand new mattress tends to be almost too stiff, but after like a week, it becomes this perfect. I've never had a better sleep in my life. I wash my face and head to the living room. Oh my gosh. A man is reading a newspaper in a chair, his legs crossed with his cup perched on his knee, the epitome for an ideal morning. I can't believe I had to deal with this sickening sight right off the bat.
Oh yeah. おはようございます、与太郎くん。
It's Kotarou.
食事は千早さんが起きてからにしましょう。それまでは適当にくつろいでいてください。
Alright, sure. I guess I'll watch TV. I woke up pretty early this morning because of how quickly I fell asleep last night. Oh, anime reruns. I used to watch these before going to school back in the day. I know I'm up early, but what time does Chihaya usually get up? I asked Sakuya, who's working in the kitchen. I hear some rustling, so he must be making breakfast. Hello?
聞こえてますよ。
The sounds stop. Well, what time does she get up?
さあ、いつもならもう少し遅いですが、何分千早さんの活動はランダム要素が多いもので。
Gotcha, so she didn't set an alarm or anything. I can totally see that.
さすがにミーティングがあるとなれば、そろそろ降りてくるかと思いますが。
There she is. You gotta admit, that's pretty cute. The door clicks open and out comes a whimsical princess. Hey, morning. I greet Chihaya while she's still in her crumpled pajamas. She's like, wait a minute, you're here? The door slaps shut.
すがすがしい朝ですね。早速嫌われているご様子で。
Give me a chance.
おはようございます。
You look a bit tidier than before.
いつも通りです。
千早さん、小太郎くん相手ならば、そんなにお気を使わなくとも。
はい。どういう意味です？
It sucks because I kind of feel bad for Sakuya. I don't know if he like loves her romantically or not. He at least loves her like as an individual. He's probably horrified that she does seem to kind of have a thing for Kotarou at this point. I'm sure he's just hoping she'll grow out of it, kind of a thing. Like he's almost like a parent, really. But like the signals are there; they're pretty strong, and he's in very strong copium mode.
はあ、小太郎くんごときに気など使ってもしょうがないという意味ですが。
I think Chihaya considers me close enough that she doesn't have to show consideration for me. He's like,
まさかそんな。
Like that's not how that is. You're so funny, Kotarou.
もう、さくやは黙っててください。
I think she's telling him to shut up. He's like, oh, wait, what? He's like, suddenly a cold winter wind blows around the butler. He's like, no. Wait a minute. No, I'm the bad guy? She chose him over me? We never really get along, but I can't help but feeling sorry for you at this point.
言い過ぎました。早くご飯が食べたいので、昨夜お願いします。
Oh, you're just gonna rip his soul out of his body and ask him for breakfast? Oh, man. Oh, poor. His soul is gone. Kotarou better be careful, because I don't think Sakuya would, because he seems like he's the kind of guy who would never be like truly use guile to get his wishes done. He's a very direct person and could easily destroy us if he wanted to, apparently. But part of me is like nervous he'll poison us. Sakuya heads to the kitchen while fighting back tears. Aww. You are such a pain to take care of.
小太郎が余計なこと言うからです。
Oh, it's my fault. Uh-huh, sure. And so, it's time for breakfast. Ooh, hotcakes.
本日はパンケーキとミネストローネにしてみました。小太郎くんは蜜とティーとミルク。どちらがよろしいですか?
Like someone pointed out before, anytime he actually says our name properly, like, it makes me pay attention. So, is this a sign of actual respect because he's recognized game? As in, like, he thinks we're stupid, but Chihaya's actually paying attention to us, so now he's like, wait a minute, alright, maybe I need to reassess this a bit. Or is he just being really nice right now? It kind of annoys me how he insists on calling them pancakes. I'll take milk.
冷蔵庫にありますよ。
You're not going to serve it to me?
ポーケの朝食はティーと決まっておりました。
Then I'll have tea!
朝はあったかい紅茶がいいですね。
I see. I take a bottle of milk out of the huge fridge and return it to my seat. Drinking milk out of a teacup feels wrong. I end up drinking it without making a sound.
別にいつも通りでいいんじゃないです？
I drink straight out of the carton. You two really want me to help myself? He's like, Sakuya's like, if you do, I will kill you. Yeah, didn't think so. Right, let's dig in. Cut the hotcakes with a fork and knife. What's this? What is this thing? Looks like an ordinary hotcake, but it doesn't cut like one. It's hard to describe, but the texture is like a slightly stiff omelet. Oh, interesting. It must have a high egg content, which would make it probably like the really fluffy pancakes, but it's obviously not the super stacked fluffy ones, otherwise he'd mention that. I put it in my mouth. Mmm. And it immediately melts. It's delicious.
なんで切れてるんですか?
Dang it, it's so annoyingly good. What is this? Sweetness is spreading as fast as it melts.
そういう作り方をしたからですよ。
Ah.
ポイントはヨーグルトです。
Yogurt's a tricky thing to cook with, by the way. I've mentioned before, I've been getting into a little bit of baking in my free time. And yogurt can certainly add a lot of texture, like, and mouthfeel. But the cost is that it makes things unstable. It's very difficult to cook with because it can make it hard to manage temperatures properly. So it is a very, very talented addition to make it something you bake. Really?
レシピはまず
Here goes the lecture. Sakuya starts prattling on about the recipe, but I can't hear any of it. I'm too preoccupied with the food. I finish my plate in a flash. Not enough. More! That pisses me off. I'm asking you for more.
残念ながら今日はそれだけですよ。
あと、少し結構かかめてください。
At the end of perfect. I've said before. Sorry, I'm gonna choke it up in here. The voice acting work for this game has been pretty top-notch. I've loved it. I thought Kotarou's voice lines were always delivered like perfectly, especially when she was being very comical and very like trying to be funny. Chihaya's voice actor does such a good job. It's very, very fun. I don't want to hear that from you. I can barely make out what you're saying anyway.
Mungu.
Mungu. What is that? Her chewing noise sounds like something out of a cartoon. I thought you were going to share some of yours after you claimed you're on a diet or something. You made that up. Chihaya glances at me while pouring more honey on her hotcakes.
千早さんはきちんとバランスの取れた食事で節制を行っておりますから。
Yeah, remember? Kotarou, you're kind of being dense here. You saw how crazy she was yesterday. She picked up a telephone pole and beat things to death with it. She must eat a lot because she must burn through calories like a monster. I don't buy it. Unless your idea of a balance is hotcakes drenched in honey and snacks whenever she pleases. No, she probably needs it. Still, her arms are so slender, I can't imagine her gorging herself. Poke. I poke her biceps. Okay, it's a little soft here. What? She's gonna kill us.
何触るんですか?
Breakfast ends with my face smashed squarely into the table. I mean, you did ask for it.
では早速向かいましょうか。
To the meeting?
ええ。
めんどくさいですね。
That bad?
基本話聞くだけなんですよ。
Uh-huh. You're going in uniform, Chihaya?
清掃ですから。
Formal. Should I be wearing a suit?
学生の清掃は制服かと。
I see. I guess you could wear your uniform to a funeral.
ちなみに私の清掃はこちらになりますので。
Sakuya pulls up his tie. Sure, that works. We'll never leave it if it takes issue with every little thing. We make our way to the car, by car. The chauffeur seems to be a private driver, and he doesn't say much to save and doesn't say much save the initial greetings. Now it's funny, like I'm so paranoid because like that's just a good chauffeur, but I'm immediately thinking, oh, he's a reincarnated summon. But no, I don't think they use that very much. Feels strangely tense in this quiet car. No, except for her. Although Chihaya breaks the tension by getting up on her knees and looking out the window. Are you asking me to flip your skirt with the way you're poking your butt at me?
違います
I will kill you.
殺しますよ。
He's like, I can hear the English delivery. He's like, I will kill you. I feel a strange murderous intent from the passenger seat. The car enters a large facility. This is the place?
はい日本マーテル会日本支部です
The Japanese branch of the Japanese Martel group. So obviously the Martel group is all over the world, but I do think it's ironic that she calls it the Japanese branch of the Japanese Martel. I'm surprised the Japanese Martel group would need a separate Japanese branch.
千早さん、マグナマーテル会日本支部です。
Oh, Magna Martel. That makes more sense.
日本マーテル会は通称ですよ。
そうでしたそうでした
That makes more sense. You can't screw up the explanation of something that important. The Magna Martel group. I've heard of it before. Many times, actually. This is the meeting my parents attend. I recognize the logo from their letterhead. Oh my gosh, dude, that's a freaking bomb! So his parents have been involved with this group for ages. I don't know how involved they are. They might just be civilians who are working, who happen to be working with the summoners, but it implies that they are fully invested and involved, which almost makes it odd that they might not notice Kotarou's abilities, unless they did, because we did hear before at the end of the last episode that Akane talked about Akane talked about Kotarou like she already knew him, and remember Sakuya actually like gave the name to his power ReWrite, implying that there was documentation of him, so perhaps there is, maybe, but like if he has powers, he has powers, but because the powers are so probably like underwhelming, they just never incorporated him in and treated him like a civilian. There's a few documents bearing their names back home. I think they've even dragged me to a meeting once. But as I was in my rebellious phase, I fought back with every ounce of my soul. They weren't the kind of people who moved to Kazamatsuri. They must be deeply concerned about the environment. As a result, I was left alone at home. My parents are both office workers. I know they work in some kind of science lab, but I never followed up on the details. There was a time when I contemplated my lack of parental bonds. Those bonds have not improved at all since then. It's easier that way, though. Honestly, I never liked my parents anyway. Just looking at the name stirs up some bad memories.
小太郎
It's nothing. So what kind of group is it? I immediately changed the subject.
ナポリに本部を構える環境保護団体です。
Naples. Okay, so that's where they started.
内実はいろいろありますが、まあ魔物を使ったり、敵と戦ったりもしている会ですね。
Like, that makes them sound like they're just a war front. How very frank of you. Sounds like a joke. But I know that it isn't. Did my parents know? Probably not. I just know them as some kind of science organization.
いえ、環境保護は実際に行っていますし、千早さんも町の植樹活動、ゴミ拾いなどには積極的でした。
I mean, that sounds really good.
昔はよくやりましたね
That sure sounds like the bare minimum effort to help the environment. Are you sure they're not the extension of a youth organization?
あとはビキニ干渉の生態系回復についての調査、北極圏におけるオゾンホールの影響、近年開発の進む新エネルギー、ガス田の環境への影響など。
Okay. I have two things I really want to say here. I don't like feeling like I'm platforming all the time, but there are two things I want to talk about. First of all, the Bikini Atoll cleaning radiation. Very good studies to do. Not a lot of people are willing to put the money in, but it could be really helpful. It's really sad what we ended up doing. Obviously, I get why you want to test weapons, especially when they're weapons that you might have to actually use. But all the same, really sucks that they went to such a beautiful location, just ruined it. Second thing, ozone hole. I keep seeing people talking about this one, and it gets to me because here's the problem. People will say like, remember back in the day when the ozone layer was a thing and everyone made all this like cry about it in the government, and now it's just not a thing because you don't hear about it anymore? Sounds like it was a scam. It's like, okay, here's the thing. But please pay attention. Please, if there's nothing else from this video or even this series, walk away with just this one, all right? The reason you don't hear about the ozone layer is because it's healing and the problem is going away. We did it. You talk about people always criticize governments interfering or being like too woke or environmentally like focused and dumping a bunch of money into programs that essentially do nothing. Apparently, it's like, look, I don't care. I'm not wherever you are in the political spectrum. And if you're in America, you know, like conservative or liberal or whatever that definition of your branching stuff is for your nation, I don't care. Here's the thing. Hard science is right here. Ozone layer was breaking down. The ozone layer is made up of a layer of tri-oxygen molecules. They're a tough molecule to make. Normally, oxygen wants to pair with 2 electrons. That's what makes a strong bond. Hence why water is oxygen with 2 hydrogen, 2 bonds. Oxygen, typical that we breathe, O2, is oxygen and oxygen pairing, 2 bonds with each other. Nice. Now, ozone is a very strange concoction of 3 oxygen molecules that are sharing electrons. I believe it ends up happening, if I remember correctly, when 2 oxygens want to make 2 bond pairings, and then 1 oxygen has only 1 free electron to offer. And so they end up sharing kind of like a pack together where the 3 of them kind of make it work, even though it's not the strongest bonds. But like it gets there. The only reason it even happens is because a highly energized reaction forces it, aka lightning strikes. I mean, you can artificially make it, but when you have lightning going from like clouds to the ground and back up, that's creating ozone because it hypercharges O2s and makes them kind of split apart temporarily and then ram into another O2 with such energy that they form these bonds. And then the O2s kind of collect together in the upper atmosphere, and they provide a very powerful shield for radiation from the sun. In fact, without the ozone layer, we would not be able to have life above the surface of the water because the radiation from the sun would be too intense and it would destroy the DNA that makes cell division possible, which essentially is the building block of all life. So when the ozone layer started to vanish, specifically starting over the poles, we started kind of freaking out a bit because it was starting to affect the very minimal life in Antarctica, making it tough for the life there to grow and develop without developing rampant cancers and such things like that. Like, it was getting toxic very quickly. And we identified that some of the aerosols we were using in many of our products were aggressively ripping apart ozone and separating it into O2 paths. And that was really bad because it was something that wasn't really seen across the history of the Earth. Now, the ozone layer fluctuates because it's a natural process, and natural cycles on the planet are messy, meaning they're very, I wouldn't call it unstable, but they fluctuate. It means that the give and take go with the tide. Ozone didn't used to be a thing at all on the planet, but the gateway to life being on the surface and on the land was essentially the development of the ozone over millions of years. So we recognized, there are certain, I guess they still would call them carcinogenics, to certain chemicals that we were releasing through our products that were aggressively depleting this resource. And while when they first were introduced as products, they weren't being used widely enough to really make a noticeable difference. It did seem like a lot of these things, these chemicals, and people would make a big deal at the time about like hairspray, but it also, I think, had a lot to do with like the types of fuels we were burning and some of the like waste that we were using, or like processes of developing like plastics and other products that was like giving off these same chemicals. And it became very scary. The scientists were very worried. They were calling out warning signs. And governments all around the world, like all of them, I'm saying like everyone started to agree, like, okay, this is a problem. It's really easy to find out and test it. So governments all over the world agreed, hey, let's scale back these certain things and use these alternatives. Wouldn't you know it, it worked, and the ozone layer is now healing, and it's almost back to where it was when we first started like tracking ozone layers back in the early 1900s. We reversed that problem using science, cooperation, and government regulation. Now, does that mean I believe all governments should be regulating? Not necessarily. Do I believe that like everything you hear and all this scientists like claims of scary things about to happen if we don't do this, this, or this are all going to be 100% true or all going to be 100% like critical? I don't know. I can't tell you for sure. But what I do know is that the ozone layer should be a shining example of why you should listen to environmental scientists when they say we might have a problem and we could fix it, because we had a problem that we fixed. So why did I go on the soapbox? Because I keep hearing more and more conspiracy theorists trying to claim that the ozone layer that was a problem that now no longer is a problem is some sign that the governments use these false flags to just dump funding into various like ghost programs and all these weird conspiracy things. Like this is along the same line of people who are like flat earthers or don't think we landed on the moon. You know, like stuff that we have very readily evidence for, but they want to believe in something different. The problem with the ozone layer one is a lot of people don't, especially who maybe weren't paying attention or weren't like very old back then, because I wasn't even that old, I was in like elementary school. But like, there's a lot of people who just weren't around or weren't able to pay attention or didn't really learn at the time what that was all about, and then they can just be like, oh, that must not be a truth because they're not talking about that anymore. It's like, no, you idiots, because we worked. The ozone layer was fixed because of what we did. It's a good thing. Anyway, I'm really sorry about that. I'm sure that was a horrifically long rant, but it's really one of those things that everyone should know. We should all be celebrating. We actually managed to do something right for once with our environment and changed our actions to benefit the world as a whole for future generations. We can do that again. We should, but can't force that. It has to be something we choose to do, and we have to start by learning and researching and actually trusting that not all scientists, but a good majority of scientists are passionate people who genuinely want to share what they've learned and discovered to try and make the world a better place. Because frankly, as much as you might not agree, most people who want to become scientists, like me, I couldn't because I'm dumb, but I wanted to. Do you want to know why? Because I wanted to make the world a better place. I wanted to learn cool stuff about the universe and help us all grow to become something greater in the future as a people. Most people who become scientists want that. They're not in it to get some, oh, we're going to get some money from people. Oh, we're going to rob people's taxes. You want to rob people's taxes. You become attorneys. You become like the sketchy entrepreneurs. Like you become scam artists and Ponzi schemers. Like that's what you do when you do that. Not a scientist. Scientists go and get masters and PhDs in the STEM and research divisions because they want to learn and grow. They want to make the world better. They want to be able to craft and make something impactful in the world. Some scientists will become those money grubbers, but I'd say that's like 3% maybe? I don't know. Anyway. Thank you. That's the end of my TikTok, or TED Talk, whatever it is. Okay, I take it back. Now that's thinking globally.
環境という文字を見たら、マーテル界の存在を裏に見てください。
This is one heck of a meeting we're attending.
それと、一応。
He hands me a hat and sunglasses. Why?
一応あなたは隠れていた方が都合がいい。
Would that actually fool anyone? Right.
それと、足の短い小太郎くんのためにシークレットブーツなども用意しました。
Hey, height's not a deficiency. Be proud of who you are, but it's part of a cost, as part of like a disguise. It might work, but how much you want to bet? We're gonna go in. Akane's gonna see us. He's gonna be like, "What? Why are you like dressed like that? It doesn't matter." And we're gonna be like, Sakuya, and he's gonna be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Now you're being a jerk.
背丈が変わるだけで特徴というものが一つ消えることになりますから。
He is right. I see. How do I look?
似合いませんね。
It'd be worse if I looked great in it. I'm trying to remain faceless.
あと、身長差が広がるの、微妙に腹が立ちますね。
Well, what can you do?
では、会場内ではおとなしくしてくださいね。
But of course. It's not like we have much of a choice. Sakuya leads us inside the building.
さくや、今日機嫌いいみたいです。
He's probably thinking we might get executed today. How can you tell?
なんだか、小太郎に対して優しめです。
She says this all the time. You think so? I guess he hasn't been as insulting as usual today.
行きますよ、千早さん。
あ、はい。
I don't know what this guy's thinking anyway. It's so hard to walk around in these. Ooh, look at that. The facility looks brand new. They have the futuristic look to them. One heck of an environmental group. I can tell by how much effort they put into the rooftop greenery. It's set up so that all the plants receive direct sunlight. Did Mom and Dad really go here?
なんか小太郎の様子が変ですね。
Huh. Can't help thinking of such things. I mean, my parents can't care more for their reputation than for me. How am I supposed to not be bothered by that? Shucks. I was just thinking that this must be some upper crust gathering we're at.
なんで突然田舎者化してるんです。
Gosh. Just play it cool. We eventually reached the hall. Also, okay, just food for thought right there. She's got really good at reading Kotarou, which is really interesting. Because normally she's very not good at observing things, right? I mean, she can be very, very klutzy, and she often, like, things just go right over her head. But when it comes to Kotarou, she reads his emotional state really well. Like, again, it kind of highlights just how much she kind of is enamored with him. But it's really stark because for most of the characters we see, it makes sense that they would be able to pick up on subtle things. But for her to be able to pick up on subtlety, really, it stands out. This place is huge. I deliberately look around left, right, up and down.
田舎者
Hey, sorry, can't help myself. Prez is already seated in her chair. Wait, this is your house?
まあそうね。どうでもいいけど。
I knew it. I knew it.
事
They said I should disguise myself. Prez leans her head into her hand.
何かまずかったです？
いや、いい。それより問題は、お前が大鳥ウイルスに感染していないということだわ。
You know what? Yeah, probably. What's that? Is it bad? Oh no, she is!
主に脳症。
That's really bad.
どうでもいい。始まるから静かに座ってなさい。
Hi.
ハモリ。やはり大鳥ウイルスに感染中。
何です？
いいえ、何でも。
Just call it idiotitis. The curtains of the stage finally open. They start with a symposium, which seriously considers the state of the global environment. So this is a meeting. I mean, you've been to meetings before, right? It was expected to be held in a small conference room. I don't understand anything they're talking about. Taking forever.
ビキニ干渉での水爆実験は未だに記憶に残っていることでしょう。
Yep.
さらにこの実験で28種ものサンゴが絶滅し
28 that we know of. How many things do you really think it's not possible that there were smaller like subsidies and types of life that might have been completely like localized to that area that we've wiped off the face of the earth that we'll never even know?
現在 80% 回復しているなどと言われていますが50年以上経った今でもあの広範囲の被爆圏その 20% も回復ができていないのです。
I guess I should try paying attention.
こちらは核というものが世間に深く認識されていなかった頃の映像で
And you could argue that's a big reason why they did the testing, because they needed to understand it, which, fair. But it sucks that they destroyed, like, such a beautiful location. I guess they chose it because it was so far away from other human habitation. They figured that if the damage were worse than they thought, which it was, that it would be less likely to affect everyone else in, like, the larger scope, you know? Black and white cartoon plays on the screen with a turtle as its protagonist. Pulls its head back in when the light approaches. Although if the heat doesn't kill it, the impact of the explosion sure will. And never mind the radiation. What an awful picture, I say to myself. Chihaya, please, wake up. Meanwhile, the young lady next to me is fast asleep. What a terrible attention span, I say to myself again. I turn to look at our president. Meanwhile, this one is actually taking notes. Or so I thought. When I took a closer look, she's actually drawing a rough picture of a turtle who is now screaming, "Kablooey!" Good reference there. What the heck is the point of this meeting?
ありていに言って、私たちこんなこと考えて真面目に活動してますっていうアピール。
That makes sense.
今回は外部の人間も招いてのものだったから。
I hope we get a better thumbnail, but this might be a good one for this one. Not only is she exasperated with the meeting, but I'm exasperated with like ozone deniers. I don't really get corpse.
そうね。よくわかんないわ。まあ、各反対とか言ってれば、賛同者が山ほど来るから。
Yeah, that's a take that most everyone can agree with. I mean, I can't say I'm for them either. Who would want them to exist unless absolutely necessary?
亀みたいになればいいんじゃなくて。
And be vaporized in a pile of ash? No thanks. Still, that was a grim cartoon. Can't believe they actually made that.
実際、どうしようもないレベル以外の場所じゃ、あの程度でも有効といえば有効だし、何も備えないよりは。
あれじゃダメなんです？
Oh, no, it's not. That's the other thing that was fun about the 50s. They genuinely just saw like atomic weapons as just big bombs. And it's like, duck and cover only matters for like, if you're within like 10 miles of the thing. Like, most everyone who's actually near the epicenter is just instant dead. And then the heat wave kills pretty much everybody who's not like in a concrete bunker. And then everyone who's beyond that is going to be essentially going through a massive earthquake, and that's where the duck and cover kind of works, and then the radiation kills you. It's great.
あなたはもう少しものを知りなさい。
The world is a scary place. Chihaya might be a special case, but being exposed to this kind of stuff would desensitize you to scary things.
まあ、それはいいのだけど。
I don't know if that's entirely true. I keep hitting the microphone in my head. I've been exposed to a lot of this stuff. Like, I've learned a lot of this material. It scares the crap out of me. I think it was less scary before I realized how bad it all was, like how rough it would be to go through, and just how horrifying it is that we have so many of these stinking things.
どうぞ。今日は千早さんの大好きな鶏のナゲットなどを用意しました。
Chicken nuggies, yeah. She's so happy. Are they dinosaurs? Delicious ham sandwich, delicious ham sandwich.
表に出たと思ったらなぜピクニック？
前からここでこうしてみたかったのです。
何をお茶目な発言を。
芝生も青く気持ちのいい場所ですから。ああ、本日は加えて、なんと風の爽やかなことか。
That's interesting.
本当にピクニックにでも行きたい気分ですね。
I always assumed that his ideas would just always be like, hi service, be very nice, be very good. But it seems like he genuinely likes picnics. Because he's found many excuses for us to have them.
どうぞご勝手に。
いえいえ、職務程度は全ういたします。
You're unemployed.
いいえ。
I glance to the side. I keep scanning the place. Until my eyes eventually land on a man in a black suit. A bodyguard? There are actually a lot of guards surrounding the garden, ruining its tranquility.
ああいった具合です。
Is this a dangerous facility? I mean, there's a bunch of security personnel snooping around.
ああいうのがいると抑止力になるでしょ。
Be it as it may, I know they are up to other stuff, including having active enemies of like the superpowered sort. You know, gotta be careful of that. But I'd also argue, the majority of loss in corporate, like in the corporate world, is due to corporate espionage. More than embezzlement, more than like patent wars. It's people who are able to convince employees that know secret information to either like willingly or accidentally leak information out that makes it so that competitors can try and upend or beat out new like developments like before or congruent with their competition to make it so that they can capitalize on like, you know, first come first serve patent type of idea to stop civilians from loitering around.
そうね。
What is this place?
日本マーテル会。いえ。ガイアの日本支部。聖女のオアス神殿。
Okay, so Gaia is the real name of the cult side of the organization. The Shrine of the Holy Woman? Gaia. A name Chihaya once mentioned.
天王寺小太郎。お前は今、世界の命運をかけた戦いに巻き込まれているのよ。
Cool. That's just great. What? Fate of the world? Should I really be talking about such things during a picnic?
巻き込まれているだけで、あなたの力とかミジンコくらいのものだけど。
Yeah, cool. That just makes me feel great. Oh, of course. I guess telling me about it isn't going to change much. Was the monster from the other day a harbinger of the apocalypse or something?
小太郎はゲームとかやりすぎなんじゃないです？
I don't know. I was just told that the world's gonna end because of the stuff going on here. Can't help thinking that way after seeing that thing.
そうね。世界をありのままの形に戻すのが我々ガイアの思想。
Original state. Like, but what's your point of origin? The world's changed a lot since it was I don't know, conceived's not really the right word, but conglomerated? I mean, because you're talking original state like pre-human? Are you talking Mesozoic? Are you talking like formation? Because formation Earth was not fun. It was a ball of lava with a bunch of clouds.
そういう意味ではその認識は間違っていない。そしてガイアは魔物使いの組織でもある。
Right.
むしろこの世界を守るというのは敵型。ガーディアンと呼ばれる組織の方だわ。
So Gaia and Guardian. I've never heard the names before now, so that's interesting. What the hell? Did I get roped into an evil organization? With Akane in it, it's actually a lot more likely.
世界はこのままでは滅ぶのよ。それが正しいもののあり方だから。
Oh, so you want the world to end? I don't understand what you're saying. Are you really going to destroy the world and then yourselves?
そうね。そういう見方ができるのは否定しない。
So you want to destroy the world, but you're an environmental group that abhors atomic bombs. It feels like the atomic bombs would be the way to go for that. So are you wanting what? Biological warfare and extinction of all complex life type of situation? Because I can't really get behind that plan.
滅ぼすべきは滅ぼされるべき人間のみでいい。
Alright, yeah, we're on Team Evil here. Let's just get skedaddle. Goodbye. Backpedal. Let us go. Can we leave? That's blunt.
見たでしょ？世界には否定すべきものを公然と肯定し、推進する輩で溢れている。
Oh yeah, absolutely. Humanity's pretty awful, but it's still worth hoping in. Plus, frankly, if we're gonna be really real here, the planet is not really in danger. The status quo is. But the planet will spin on without us. If we were all to go extinct, and even if we brought it about ourselves, even if we irradiated the planet, I do genuinely believe something would make it through. And in a few million, maybe in a billion years, stuff would still be here, just wouldn't be us.
私たちの敵はそういうものを容認し、世界を蝕んでいくもの。愚かだわ。
That's how it is? I can't agree with that.
そう？
How can you be so inanely selfish?
立場をひっくり返してごらんなさい。どちらの立場もお前が言う超利己主義に変わりはない。
So yeah, we're both being selfish. Doesn't that mean we're both flawed?
滅ぶなら人の世界を曲げて、自然の世界を存続させる。
But we're part of nature. Like, is that really that unbelievable? Do you think that, so she's saying that Gaia as an organization thinks so highly of like the world, but so lowly of humanity, that they think scrub humanity and let the world just spin on. You know what would happen? Something else would just rise up and take our place. Now, could you argue that perhaps they would do better? Of course, but the thing is like, why just give up on humanity? We're here now. We could try to be better. I mean, it's grim, and there's a lot of real crappy people out there, and like we're definitely far from like ideal society completely, but we also are seeing a lot of positive change. Like in the past 100 years, whilst there's been a population explosion, a lot of bad things have happened. Like, if you really look at the statistics, we also are, despite all the insanity that you see going on in Ukraine and in the Gaza Strip right now, and in like some of the infighting in the nations in Africa and the suppressive tactics that are done by some of the larger like governments of the world. Like, you look at all that bad, right? And we're still living in the time of the most peace that the world of humans has ever seen. We're also we're living in a time where there are lots of outcries and support, even from like even if there's like climate deniers, still a majority of people who understand that like we can do better than we're doing now, and we're pushing for that. We're reaching for the stars in ways that while it's adding the corporate like crap to it, it's allowing more and more common people to have access to exploring beyond. And the idea that we're actually like genuinely reaching towards expanding ourselves beyond our planet, that's awesome. It's exciting and terrifying. There's so much hope to be there. Why would we decide, you know what? We are the only part of this entire planet that doesn't matter, that's toxic, that should be gone. We are just as much a part of this Earth as the rest of the Earth is. And as much as we have abused the rights of the world, we can do better. We can learn and grow. That's part of what makes humanity so great. So I can't really, at this point, get on board with this argument here, because it comes from a prideful point of view that humans are somehow detached from the world, that we're some kind of exception. In fact, unfortunately, I think the traditional belief of that isn't stemmed by, but it's enhanced by religion, especially Christianity. I would guess Islam as well, just because. But I don't know enough about Islam and Judaism to be sure. But Islam, Judaism, I think, Taoism and Hinduism tends to be more about like being part of a big cycle. So I don't know if they're as likely to be pushing a narrative that humanity is some kind of separation from like the world. We're very different from the rest of the animal kingdom, but we share more in common with a banana than we don't. Like, I think for like a human being and a banana, we share like 75% of the genetic DNA. Like if you strand out DNA, majority of that DNA is exactly the same, because it codes for like how you make cells and how you like live and like what you operate on and how you disseminate like break down energy and change it into different forms. Like most of that's the same. We're all coded by the same function. So we can't say, oh, you know what, humans are just not part of this of nature. We're part of it. We're absolutely part of it.
それに、私たちは能動的に滅びを起こすわけでもない。それを判断するのは星そのものだから。
Well, that's fair. So then why are you suddenly saying that, oh, we should remove humanity? Because ultimately the stars decide. It's like, then why are you forcing one way or another?
そういうことよ。
If humans were to die, nature could thrive. And at the rate we're going, humanity will destroy itself. If that happens, nature should remain. No. Will there be any room left for us in that world? Will there be anything left that I want to protect? Still can't agree to that.
まあ、別にあなたに納得してもらう必要もないのよ。協力してもらえれば。
Okay, see, this is where I say that, like, we go from, like, being protected to being hostages. It's a fine line. Cooperation. You just said I had all the significance of a flea.
そう卑下したものでもない。お前はそれなりに重要なポジションにいるのよ。私たちにはガーディアンの他に。
Wait.
何?
I'm getting an upset stomach. Let me go handle this. I'm way out of my league.
だから知らない方が幸せなこともあると言ったんですよ。
I don't have any regrets.
昨夜、小太郎に胃薬を。
It's okay, I'm fine now.
続けていいかしら。
Yes. No.
どこまで話したっけ？
The other enemy.
そうそう。それはガイア内。
The planet itself. What? But I thought you were part of Gaia.
まあ、そうね。そこのほうけてる娘。
私です？
私が話すと重くなりすぎるみたいだから、あなたが話しなさい。
つまり、
You don't know either, do you?
勧められます。そうそう、あれですよ、あれ。
What?
同じ給食当番でも、揚げパンは取り合いになるんです。
What? The tension dissipates in an instant.
ご苦労様。もういいわ。ありがとう。
いえいえ。
She's being sarcastic. So there's infighting.
そうそう、そんな感じです。
Chihaya looks pleased that I understood her analogy.
で、まあ、その揚げパンなんだけど、それが私たちがそれぞれ求めている滅びのスターターキーね。
Okay, so the key, so that's what the, whatever that was, I call it, there was a word for it, but it was like, it's whatever that song was, that like, Kotarou was like, we have to protect the key, but we can't let it sing. The So Kotarou seems like she was trapped in the middle. Her instructions were essentially to like not kill the key, but not to let the key destroy everything.
つまり、それぞれがそれをめぐって動いている。我々は滅びを鍵に委ねるため、敵はそれを破壊するため、給食当番はそれを政治手段、最終兵器として確保するため。
Ah, so there are some people in Gaia who see it, they're kind of like counterproductive to, they might even see like Akane as an extremist, saying like all humanity should be purged. They're probably like, no, what if we did a partial purge and then took control of the entire planet? It's like most of the world gets destroyed, but then they build a new hierarchy, maybe a perfect government kind of idea. I could see that. Man, the lunch officers are nasty, they're the nastiest of the bunch.
つまり、私たちは一つの揚げパンをめぐって、
All this for a fried bit of dough. Are you sure this is the best explanation you've got?
わかりやすいでしょ。で、敵は、そうね。あなたのような能力を持った人間の集団。
So, where did the superpowers come from, though? Because that's the thing, too, is like, is that an extension of Gaia, or is that just something human-made? Like, did we mutate people somehow?
彼らは最低でも、あの黒犬程度なら、単身であしらえる能力を持っている。
Superpowers. But why don't you just arm yourselves and shoot up the rival organization, you know, with guns?
あなたが魔物相手に銃でも撃つ機会があればいいんだけど。残念だけど、ほぼ効果ないわよ。
While they might have the echoes of life, they tend to not have the same internal organ structure and likely don't, like, because bullets are naturally about, you know, causing precise damage to vital organs. If you don't have a lot of vital organs and it's mostly about, like, taking so much structural damage that you can't hold yourself together anymore, then bullets would be next to useless. What?
もちろん、ダメージは与えられるけど、人や動物に対して銃が有効なのは、内臓に効果を及ぼすから。
I'm thinking, I'm following.
魔物は、そういった組織でできているわけじゃないの。
So what happens to them?
なんだかよくわからないもの。死んだらドロドロになるでしょ。そういう感じ。
Right.
やるなら爆薬で一気に吹っ飛ばす。とかかしら。
Ugh, that gets messy quick. Uh-huh. That black dog from yesterday wasn't really hurt even after I stabbed it with my sword.
正確には地球のエネルギーみたいなもので構成されているみたいです。一応体はあるから打撃とかでも倒せますけど。
So, first of all, terrestrial energy. It's a pretty gnarly lingo coming from our girl here. But also, I would guess it's because combat seems to be what her orientation's all about, and likely what she struggles listening to minutia and politics. But when it comes to like being a warrior, she's all for it, and thus she pays attention and knows. You sound pretty knowledgeable about this.
魔物使いですから。
ちなみに私たちがあなたに銃を用意するなんてことはないから。
Okay. I don't want to go anywhere near that thing.
敵、ガーディアンのエージェントは平気で持ち出したりするけどね。
I'd be dead in 2 seconds.
で、大体の状況は理解してくれたかしら？
By the way, are we going to casually just move past the fact that Chihaya is a summoner? So I'm wondering if that's really if I was right about that. Like, is her intense strength? So she had her charms or whatever, so maybe her strength is a manifestation of that, but also if she just has a copious amount of just internal energy, maybe she can just handle more summons than most people can. For the most part.
協力の要請は受けてもらえるのかしら？
You haven't said what this cooperation actually means, though. Is Kotarou involved in all this?
さあ、あの子は自宅で寝込んでるみたいだけど。
I doubt you think that. I see. I was just about to visit her to make sure she's safe.
コンタクトを取るのはやめた方がよくてよ。
Why?
もうお前はマークされてるから。
By who?
敵にも、給食当番にも。
Seriously?
だから重要なポジションなのよ。
I still feel like she's using this as a manipulation. Like, she's not lying, but I think she's funneling us by not contacting our friends. So Shizuru and Lucia are with the enemy.
確証はない。ただ、現状そうと考えるのが自然ね。
Figures.
まだ言ってるんです？
Because this whole situation sucks. I hate it. I don't care about the details. I just hate it.
とりあえず当面は給食当番が相手だから 安心なさいな。
I don't know what she's trying to say. Immediate? Does that mean I'll also have to face Lucia and Suzuru as enemies one day?
天の寺小太郎、本来お前は諦め、そして逃げるべき。
Sounds good!
私は逃げることを否定はしない。むしろ正しい行動として肯定するわ。
She does know him pretty well, though. She knows that this is like give him that option and it's gonna be like, no. But I shake my head.
嫌なら世界を変えなさい。その嫌だって気持ちを変えないまま生きていきたかったらね。
I can't change the world. There's no way. I'll cooperate.
そう。
But I can't agree with your ideals. You okay with that?
全く問題なし。
She's like, yeah, I mean, you won't be around to object if I succeed.
あと、聞きたいことはあるかしら。
Oh, Frank. One question.
何？
Any chance you could just quit Gaia and stop fighting?
バカなの？
Maybe I am. How about it, Chihaya?
無理よ。その子はずっとガイアとして生きてきたの。今さら何を？
よくわかりませんが、私はガイアで、それ以外にどうすれば？
I don't know. You'd be Chihaya? That's pretty cool.
そういうことよ。私たちは生まれた頃からそう決められてきたの。
So you're like nobility, okay? Come on, Prez. I know you don't actually want to fight Shizuru and Lucia.
どうしようもないのよ。どうしようもね。それをどうこう嘆いたって仕方のないこと。
Which means you don't want to fight them.
うるさい。他になければ私は戻る。
Ooh, we hit a nerve there. She probably genuinely enjoyed being around them and hates the fact that they ended up being enemy. Wait, hang on. What do you want me to do for this cooperation thing? Good thing you actually asked.
どう動きたいの？
I thought I'd make a lot of noise to get their attention.
それでいい。
You sure?
別に。いつも通りでいいの。
My usual routine. You mean school and stuff?
そうね。いいかもしれない。
Really?
あと、デートなら公園もおすすめ。
デートって誰とです？
あなたでしょ。
そんなあっさり言われると。
Sakuya is probably like, what?
真っ先に反応しておいて、否定も何もあったもんじゃないわね。
Why the park?
開始事件。
Wait, what? Unexplained death? What happened this time?
いいえ、これは失踪事件ね。最後の目撃情報が公園なの。
Another missing person? I don't like the way she put that. Akane labeled what is still a missing person case to the rest of society as an unexplained death. Considering what she knows, familiars are probably involved, and the missing person is probably in the same state of those mysterious deaths of the ORS investigated. That's it. After pooling our resources together, we found no rational explanation for their death. Which means the park is our next lead.
ただし、狩猟者に出会ったら即逃げることをお勧めするわ。
Hunters. People can use superpowers like me, the enemy. And that includes Suzuru and Lucia?
好きになさい。
Right. Akane stands, approaching me. What?
カニは任せたわ。
She whispers into my ear. Huh?
もうお前の手の中にある。
So she knows. She's actually, and it's also been literal. Like she's like, the key's in your hand. It's like, no, it's like literally in your hand. Uh-huh. She's like, are you gonna pick that up or not? Perez glances at Sakuya.
じゃあね。
She continues walking. In my hands. I look at my palm. Squeeze it a couple times. Maybe I should hold it in front of the sun or something? Well, my blood's still flowing, and it's red.
何してるんです？
She said the key's already in my hand, so she left me to it.
あるんです？
Doesn't look like it.
そういえば、左手の強化がまだでしたね。帰りましょうか。
Huh? Why?
さすがに、ここであなたの能力をお披露目するわけにもいきません。まずは自宅で練習ですね。
Well, that's gonna be fun. Right.
ちなみに茜さんは、あなたを割と荒っぽく使うことに決めたようです。
Exactly, as bait.
戦う気にならなければ、本当に死にますよ。
いつも私たちがフォローできるわけじゃないですしね。
これからは自分の身程度は守れるようになっていただきます。
Meaning what?
特訓ですね。
Yeah, can't believe you're actually suggesting that.
いいじゃないです。楽しいかもしれませんよ。
I can use my powers just fine. I don't need to try that hard. Wow, that's the voice of a toddler right there.
お気楽ですね。
I don't want to hear that from you.
さて、帰りましょうか。
He's like, oh, this is gonna suck. Why do you have a sadistic smile on your face? I don't like it.
いいえ、
Oh, he's like, I'm gonna make sure this is fun
あなたには生き残ってもらいますよ。
by any means necessary. Feel myself tensing up. Despite all the nonsense about fried dough and lunch officers, I've definitely gotten myself involved in something terrible. I mean, I would love to survive. I'd even go through some slightly sadistic training in order to make that happen. Alright, sure, I'll do it.
そう来てくれると私もやりがいがありますね。
What does he have planned for me? That's terrifying. Oh, Akane.
失礼いたします。
何そう。
ガイア内部の勢力が大きく変化するでしょう。
Interesting.
私たちはどうされました？
いえ、ほんの少しね、嫌になったの。
Yeah, she just hates existence.
大丈夫よ。ほんの少しだわ。バカな男だったわ。去っていく者へ、こういう言葉を吐くのは嫌な人間ね。でも、本当に
Oh, his question to
バカな
her
男だった。
hit her harder than she anticipated. Why can't you just leave? And she's just like, I can't. But then she's thinking about it, just making her upset.
お察しいたします。
でも、好都合ね。引っかき回す人間が一人いる。とてもいいカードだわ。これまで通り進めてちょうだい。
はい。
じゃあ、任せたわ。
良いのですか？
いいの。今はそれだけ。
わかりました。
おかしな展開ね。いえ、おかしいのは私かもしれない。つまらないわね。
Oh, how ominous.
はい。では4枚場に出してください。
Alright. I know I ranted a lot in this episode, so not a lot happened, but I also don't want to make things go on too long. We'll have fun with the training montage next week, so please forgive me for this, but I am going to end it here. I just think it's really important. I know every time I apologize for ranting that I hear most people say like, oh no, it's fine, and like we like it, or like it's why we come to your channel, it's part of what makes you unique, and I agree, and I'm grateful for that, and I do think like I wouldn't do it if it didn't mean a lot to me or if I thought it was bad. If I thought it was bad, I could just cut it out, but I'm not because I think it's important. I mean, we come here to enjoy the story, but I think having conversations is an important part of enjoying a story. Like, you could just like watch a non-vocal playthrough of the game if you just wanted the story. That's also technically stealing, though. Like having a shared adventure and being able to kind of talk back and forth about it is really what makes it important. So I'm not really sorry, but I understand it can be frustrating when we don't make a lot of progress because, you know, it just means more time we have to play the game. I don't mind it, but still, I do think it's important to like. There's a balance. There's a balance that's really important and critical about like like knowing, like hearing proper information, being able to actually remember and be praising like the good things we do a lot of good, and like having an understanding that like just because like there's a political leaning one way or the other about certain topics doesn't mean that that's the like politics is the right way to be looking at it. I feel like we need to have something to separate that a bit. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen, but I just hope each and every one of you listening to this, I don't care what you politically lean. In fact, you'll find me very much in the middle on a lot. Like, there are some things I go on this side or that side or up and down or whatever. Like, it sounds boring, but I just tend to see a lot of flaws in a lot of arguments of a lot of political groups and arguments. Like, there's good points and bad points, and I think that we need to find something that's, like, incorporates the best and cuts out the rest. But regardless of that, I do think it's important to keep up to speed on science and understanding that there is a lot of good science out there and that a lot of it is like pushing us towards a better, brighter future. I also think that like elevating humankind above the rest of the world, above the animal kingdom is very haughty, very prideful. I do think we need to understand that part of the reason why we need to take better care of the earth and our own bodies is because we're intrinsically tied to it. and we start feeling like we're above or higher than the rest of nature, is what can lead us to justifying really destructive lifestyles, tendencies, and irreversible choices. And that's not a good place to be. So it's always good for us to keep in mind that we're as much a part of this environment as anything else. Like, yeah, it might seem like ants are beneath us, but frankly, they do a lot more for the planet than we do. So yeah, good thing to think about. Anyway, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for being part of the channel and being able to deal with my ranting for this episode. I got really inflamed today, so I hope it was something at least motivating. I'd love to read your comments. If you agree, disagree, whatever, I hope to hear from you. But especially thank you to my patrons and my members. Make it possible for me to make content like this, be able to share what I want to share, and do so in a way that's like kind of at my own speed and within my own power. And I'm grateful that you believe in me so much to be able to support that. I hope that you continue to do so and that I can live up to those expectations. We're drawing close to the end of the year, which means we're getting close to the channel's birthday. I usually try and do at least 1 or 2 things special for that, so keep an eye out for it. Currently, I'm working on a new channel trailer. I want to put up as kind of like the face of the channel for newcomers, just so they can see a little bit about like what it is, what you find when you come to the channel. If you have any suggestions about favorite moments from some of the recent videos you've watched, or even some of the old ones, you can leave a comment. You can go to the Discord and post it. It'll help me kind of cultivate maybe some of your favorite moments into like the very selective compilation I'm going to be making, because I know some of my favorite moments, but I easily lose track. So if there's something specific that you think was really like funny or moving or very impactful, I'd love to know. So I'd love for that input from you if you're really willing to share it, but it's all up to you. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. Look forward to watching something else with me. So until the next video watching me, if you see me next, I'll see you there.